campers. Today I have another little makeup-y kind of video for you. If you've seen my previous hauls, you'll notice that I bought a few brushes. Like I bought a brush set and then I got one in a gift bag. And yeah, basically I now have two the same. I now have two stippling brushes for foundation. And to be quite honest, I want to know if there's any difference between the two. So I have this one, which is from Revolution Pro. This one, the bristles on it are incredibly soft and they feel like quite thin. So, well, quite thin, is that the right term I'm looking for? I think I mean quite fine. Feels quite fine and very soft and silky and smooth, so kind of like hair. I think these fibres are about as thin as my hair anyway. I don't think they're actual hair, I think they are synthetic. But it does feel incredibly soft. It does feel incredibly soft despite the fact it's made out of two different kinds of fibre. If I remember correctly, this one's a duo fibre brush. So it'll be interesting to see if the mix of fibres makes my foundation apply any differently. And then we have this one that I got in my second Revolution haul, and this is the one that came out of the Make-Up-y set. I don't really know if this one's got a name or not, but obviously the bristles on this one are a lot shorter than on this one. So it'll be interesting to see if that makes a difference. And also the fibres feel different. So these ones feel a lot thicker and a lot more plasticky, whereas these ones feel more hair-like. They are quite soft still though, but I've noticed that this one feels a bit denser than the other. And I don't think this one is duo fibre, I think it's just single fibres. So it'll be interesting to see if there's much of a difference between the two. First off, I'm going to prime my face, and for this I have the I Heart Revolution Tasty Peach Spray Primer. I missed a lot of my face there. Oh. And then the foundation I'm going to be using is the Avon True Colour Ideal Flawless Foundation in the shade Light Pink, which Avon don't make anymore. So if you're pale skin like me and you're trying to find this one, Avon have discontinued this, and when they did discontinue it, I bought up a lot of old stock, and so I have like this one and another one left, and then that's it. It's the only foundation I've ever found that kind of actually fits my skin tone and lasts all day. I wish they'd bring it back in this one, because the ivory colour they've replaced it with isn't the same shade as this. It's far too warm. Right, so I'm going to do half my face with each of these brushes, and I'm going to do this side with this half with this brush and this half with this brush, and I'm going to use about a pump on each, and then we'll just see if I need any more. Right. It's been a while since I've used this. I don't think I've ever actually applied foundation with a brush before, so this is going to be exciting to see how it compares to like my beauty blender. Right, so it kind of feels a bit like I'm painting a wall. I'm not gonna lie though, it does kind of go on okay. It looked like a bit patchy and very streaky at first, but it's now starting to blend, so that's a good sign. I never even know what kind of like movement to use with this. I assume it's like this. I like try it not to gather around the corners of my nose or anything. Trying to do this half bit of my nose. I have noticed that it's done like a good job of like getting into the pores, especially on like my forehead where my T-zone is, because the beauty blender usually takes me a few goes over with it to pat it into my skin, and it seems to have like made them quite smooth. It's done quite a good job of getting it into more fine lines as well. I'm starting to get those on my forehead now. Perks are being 24. This brush is nice and soft, like it's like barely there. I can barely feel it when it's on my skin. It's just like tickling across, which is kind of nice really. It was a bit like when my cat knows that I'm sad and he walks up in my face and sort of sticks his tail across my face to tickle it because he knows it makes me laugh. That's kind of what it reminds me of. But yeah, I do like the application of this. It's very, well, it's gone on quite well and it feels good. Like, my foundation doesn't like feel sticky or anything, and it's not coming off, and it's not like it's clung anywhere on this side. Usually when I use my beauty blender I end up with like lines of it all stuck up in my eyebrow, but that's not happened this time. There was a tiny bit that went over like the creases of my eyelid, but that feels okay. Usually I go over those with like concealer anyway, so I'm not too fussed whether the foundation sticks to them or not. And on my nose, where it's usually quite oily, it looks okay. Like all my pores and stuff have all been filled in, which is good because I've got a load of blackheads and it looks bloody awful. And yeah, it looks like it blended in quite well across my lips as well, like round the ends and everywhere. I'm quite pleased with this. So this one I'm quite impressed with, although how long these nice white tips will stay white I don't know. It looks like it's oxidised quite a bit on there. Yeah, okay. Hopefully it will wash out quite nicely. So on to the next side, and this brush. Again, I'm just going to like use a pump at a time and see how well it applies basically. Because I never really know how much foundation I'm going to need to put on. Oh, that's cool. Might help to use with the hand. Is anyone else like me? Like, primarily I'm left-handed, I do most things left-handed, but then with like makeup I have to do right side of my face with right hand and then left side of makeup with left hand. Or are you lot all just usually dominant hands, like normal people do? Get this bit of my nose. Now immediately I can definitely feel that this brush is a lot denser. It's not quite as soft as the other stippling brush. It is doing quite a good job of application though. Like it's very smooth, and it's not like leaving clumps of foundation everywhere. And it fits nicely in all the contours of my face too, same as the other one did. A little bit more up. And again, this brush is changing colour. This is the problem with like white brushes, isn't it? They never kind of like stay white for very long afterwards. They always end up stained with foundation if that's what we're using them for. It definitely makes a change not to apply it with a brush and not with like a sponge. I'm not really sure whether I'm using less product either. I usually do like 3 pumps for like my whole face, possibly 4, just depends. But it feels okay. I think I've used like 1.5 for, yeah, about 1.5 for each side. So yeah, it's about what I'd normally use. Now I haven't quite blended it into my neck, but it's literally just a test, so it's not staying on all day, it's coming off after. Okay, so let's pop my glasses back on and do a proper scrutinise. Well, it looks kind of okay. Well, I do like how this foundation makes my skin look on camera because it does make it look very, very good. Like, look at that. And again, this side feels slightly stickier, but that might have been down to how I was with the primer. A bit ham-handed with primer sometimes, especially that spray one, because I'm not yet used to how it sprays and it tends to spray out like a jet rather than a fine mist. But yeah, it does. It feels good. It feels good. Like, and it has again gotten into all my pores. You know, I think I might apply my foundation with a brush more often. I know it's like more faff to like clean it, but okay, I might have to just get used to that. I always find that brushes take forever to dry whenever I've cleaned them. Like beauty blender, yeah, whatever, it's wet already, rinse it when it's dry, and it's dried again in a couple of hours. But yeah, Yeah, it definitely does feel a bit tackier on my chin, but that's fine. With like a powder or something, it'd just powder in and it looks fine. It looks quite well good on my nose as well, like it's gotten in all the pores. This brush hasn't quite applied this foundation as well into like my fine lines here as it could have done. Some of them, like above my eyebrow, are quite deep now. I say fine lines, but they're kind of like not very fine. Especially not like here on the eyebrow. Whereas on this side, the brush managed to like get into all of them. That might be due to the fibres, because obviously the Revolution Pro brush has finer fibres, and the fibres on these, on the other Revolution one, seems a bit thicker. So that might just be why. It might just be a case of flexibility, especially because the fibres on this one are packed a bit more denser than that one. Obviously the Revolution Pro fibres have more room to move, which movement is good. And yeah, it feels good. It feels good. I'm not sure whether it looks like it's oxidised a bit more, but I suppose that's more down to the foundation, isn't it, really? I know it just looks like a slightly different colour to my neck, but that's okay. So I do usually blend it down my neck and whatever, and under my chin and everywhere. But for today, for today's purposes with the testing, I just did it on my face. Again, it's not really taking too good around my eye, but that's because I usually go over that with concealer anyway, like across the top of my eyelid and everywhere. I can see like a few lines where it's just sat in the creases on my eyelid, but if I'm going over that with concealer, I'll do that with a beauty blender or concealer brush anyway, so it's no biggie. It'll just get corrected later on. I can always tap them out with my hand if necessary. I noticed that on this side I have gone slightly over onto my eyebrow, but that don't matter. Again, eyebrow pencils, sort all that out. After with foundation, it feels good. It feels good, it looks good, it looks quite even actually. Like, there's like the odd line down the middle where I'll try to keep it on one side of the face and the other side of the face, but it does look okay. Like it looks fairly, like a fairly good finish, fairly flawless finish, and I'm quite pleased with that. Look at that. Another reason why I like this bloody foundation is that it's really good. So you can see like here there's like the odd orangey kind of bit where it's not quite gone into my fine lines very well and it's sort of sat on top of them, whereas on this side it's a lot smoother. I'm quite pleased with how this has turned out, this test. You know, I'm definitely gonna apply my foundation with a brush more often because it seems to work. It's like, wow. Why did I never try this sooner? Oh yeah, because I didn't have any bloody makeup brushes. I do now, shall be using. I think if I was going to pick just one of these brushes to do my foundation with, to be quite honest, I'd be very happy with using either of these, but I think if I was just going to use one, I'd go for the Pro brush, purely because it feels a bit nicer to apply and it gets into my fine lines, so this is the one that I would choose. However, I'd be quite happy using this one. It obviously depends on your budget, so if you're after a budget one and it comes in a set, yeah, this one's fantastic. This one's great. I give it a good solid like 8 out of 10. This one, I do prefer the finer fibres of it, and it does feel a lot nicer when you're applying it. Like this one feels a bit clumpy and bumpy and definitely feels a bit denser, and you can actually feel it. So yeah, this one I'd probably give an 8, and then this one, the Revolution Pro one, I give a 9 to. But either of them are great. And they've done quite a good job with my liquid foundation. So if you like this video, don't forget to give me a little thumbs up. Don't forget to say hi in the comments, and if you'd like to see more of this kind of thing, don't forget to click the subscribe button. See you all soon. Bye.